How to use the Edge Browser 2018, Part 4, Browser Settings. This video describes the settings that affect the operation of the Edge browser. This clip shows how to open the playlist for a video, but please note the clip was prepared for a different video. The steps are the same for the video you are watching. This video is in a playlist. You should watch the videos in order from the playlist. To open the playlist, hover over the video window and click the circled eye in the upper right corner. Then click the playlist pop-up. Settings is where you get into the nitty-gritty of all the things that control how Edge operates. To open the settings window, click the ellipsis at upper right, then click Settings. Some of these I've never used. I have no idea what they do. This would set your default browser to Microsoft Edge. It wouldn't show you this message if Microsoft Edge was already your default browser. We've discussed the default browser elsewhere, but it is the browser that will open any web page that's in your computer that does not have a browser address built into it. And there is a way to build a browser address into a shortcut. It opens the Windows setting menu, and if you want to then set the browser to Edge or anything else, scroll down to where it says browser and click whichever browser is currently the default, and mine is Firefox. Then it will give you a list of all installed browsers and let you select which one you want to make your default. Most browsers do not show you an option to change the default browser when that browser is the default browser. To change the default browser, the easiest way is to use the Windows commands. Click the Windows logo, click Settings, click Apps, click Default Apps, scroll down to where it says Web Browser. It will show the current default browser. To change it, just click it, and then select from any installed browser. Again, that message to change the default in the Edge browser only appears if Edge is not your default. It does not appear if Edge is your default. Open Microsoft Edge with. We have already discussed that in the setup video in this series. And I have my custom home page, and that's what Microsoft Edge opens with or starts with. Open new tabs with top sites. There are some options on when you click the plus here to open a new tab, what it does. This gives you a list of things it thinks you visited a lot, the top sites, but you have the option to set it to a blank page, and it'll just open a blank page for your new tab. Import favorites and other info lets you import certain information from other installed browsers. Not all browsers permit that, so you won't see a list that includes all your installed browsers if you use this function. For example, I have the Opera browser installed and it did not appear in the import list. Here is an option to whether or not you want the browser to show the favorites bar. The favorites bar is right here. I recommend you always show the favorites bar because it's a very easy place to access shortcuts. The way to put shortcuts on the favorites bar is open whatever web page you want to put on the favorites bar, then click the star at the end of the address box. You'll need to give it a name, and we'll just call it LAAS. And you need to say where you want to save it. I would recommend you save on the favorites bar until you fill up the favorites bar. And then go ahead and add it. So it's added the shortcut for this page here that's open to the favorites bar, and there is the shortcut. And I don't want to keep it on there, so to get rid of a shortcut on the favorites bar, just right click it and say delete. By the way, while we're here, you can also rearrange all these favorites by just dragging them back and forth. But I will get rid of that one. Again, this shows and hides the favorites bar. So if you turn it off, the favorites bar disappears. I recommend you always have it on, and there it is. Show only icons. You can get rid of the text and just leave the icons. I would suggest you leave the text and just rename any of them that have text that's too long. Clear browsing data. The Edge browser keeps a list of the websites you visit, both now, today, and in the past, until you clear it. And you can choose what to clear in the browsing data. There's a list of the choices. I'm not going to clear anything. I'm just going to get out of the screen. Down to where we were, clear browsing data, account, shows your email address. Again, I don't know what some of these are. And advanced settings gives you more things that you can change. And while we're here, again, here's where you find the version number of the Edge browser that you're currently using. View advanced settings gives more things you can change. You can show or hide the home button. We have discussed some of these before. So if you turn it off, the button disappears, you turn it back on. It shows it. The home button, as we mentioned before, the Edge browser has two web pages it can save. The web page that it will always start showing, and that's on the other menu. On the first settings menu, one of the first things was you can select what page to start Edge on. And now you can select what page for the Edge browser to open when you click this house symbol. And you can set those separately, but I set them to the same. They're both set to my home page. Some browsers let you do that. A lot of browsers, there's only one setting for the start or home page. Block pop-ups. You can block pop-ups. Some websites don't like it when you block pop-ups. You can tell it whether to use Adobe Flash. A lot of these advanced settings you're never going to want to change unless you know exactly what you're doing. You can set where you saved downloaded files if you wanted to change that. So it's my username and a folder called downloads. If you do a download from within a web page in this browser, it will save them there. And you can browse and change that place where it will store those downloads. Or you can have it ask you each time you do a download, where do you want to store it? Edge has the capability to save passwords and insert them when you revisit a website where you entered a password. I prefer the Norton security programs feature called the Vault or Identity Safe for that. It seems to work better than most browsers have a capability like that. The Norton Identity Safe seems to work better for that, but Norton Identity Safe does not work with all browsers. So it currently works quite well with Internet Explorer. So when I visit a website that has a password like my banking website, I always open it in Internet Explorer and use Norton's Identity Safe to fill in the password. Save form entries. It may or may not work well, and I'm not quite sure what it does, but presumably if you entered your name and address on a form, it would remember that, and there would be maybe a way to say, I want to insert my name and address, or maybe there would be a way for the form to tell the browser, I'm looking for a name and address. So you can play with that if you want. I haven't really used that feature. Have Cortana assist me in Microsoft Edge. I do have it on. I'm not quite sure how it assists me, but you could look into that if you want, and I do have Cortana turned on. Okay, search in the address box with. We already mentioned in a previous video that this is the way you select what search is used when you type things in the address box. Currently have it set to Google. I showed you, I believe, in the first video of this series how to change it from Bing to Google because I prefer Google. I do like it to show the search and site suggestions as I type. Remember, as you start to type, it'll give you a list of what you might be typing, and you can click from the list and save yourself having to type the whole thing. I notice even though I'm using Google that it says clear Bing search history. I guess Bill likes you using Bing, Bill Gates. Don't block cookies. Oh, some websites, if you block cookies, they will not work, and they'll tell you that. They'll tell you when you try to open them that say, hey, you got your cookies blocked, you got to unblock them before you can come here. These are the default settings. I would suggest that you not change any of the advanced settings from the defaults unless you really know what you're doing, and I really don't know what I'm doing in some of these. So I leave them as the defaults. That's the end of the advanced settings. To get back to the settings, you just click here. Clicking the pin symbol up by settings will cause the settings to be permanently displayed on the right side of the browser window as you navigate around to different websites. As soon as you close and reopen the browser, it will disappear, or if you click the X box, it won't be shown anymore. I just accidentally demonstrated what Choose a Theme does when you click dark. You can see what the screen looks like. I don't like it that way. I'm going to switch back to light. Thanks for watching this Tom's Tech Notes video. If you liked this video, please click like. There are 250 videos on the channel. Please click subscribe and select notifications to receive an email when I add videos to the channel. To visit the channel, search for TOMSTDA.